So in 2017, I did a video called How to Edit Your Novel, and it is now 2020, so I figured I would do an update about my editing process and everything that I've done with my book so far to get it to draft 4. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and stick around for the video. Dylan, cue the intro. What's up? Welcome to my channel. My name is Alyssa, and here we talk about all of the things pertaining to books and building your best life. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and consider subscribing. As I said before, I'm talking about my editing process today, and basically just everything I've done on my book as I'm getting ready to get it into draft 4 and whatnot. And maybe I'll go into plans I have going forward to complete the editing process as well. I'm filming this video a little late at night because I wanted to get it done over the weekend before my work week starts. So if I start stumbling on some words, it's because the brain is tired and I want to go to bed. Anyway, okay. So the very first thing I did after powering through the rough draft, and you know, it would have been a good idea for me to look over that How to Edit Your Novel book, because that was my original plan, and I'm interested to see if I veered off that plan at all. But this is what has happened so far. I finished writing draft 1. That took me a while. I don't really honestly remember how long it took me to write the first draft of my book. I think it was about 2 years. I think I took 2 years to finish that. I don't know. Finished writing the rough draft, and then I gave it to my critique partner, my then critique partner, and she read through it and did basically a developmental edit for me. And while she was working on that developmental edit, I was also reading through my work and giving it its own developmental edit. After looking through that rough draft, as one finds with the rough draft of their book, there's lots of things that needed to change. A lot of plot things that did not make sense. Characters, even, that did not make sense, that had to be removed. That was tough. But basically, I took it through a developmental edit. I didn't hire a developmental editor. I used my friend because I trust her judgment, and I know quite a bit about books myself, having gotten my English degree and master's in education and all that. So yeah, that's what I did for my developmental edit. Could it have used a professional developmental editor? Yes, definitely so. I realize that now after having it gone through the beta reader process, but more on that later. So for that developmental edit, while I was doing it, she read through the whole thing. I actually mailed her a physical copy of the book, and she annotated it for me and then gave me like 5 pages worth of overall notes of what she thought was good and what she thought what she thought could be improved, inconsistency she found, all of that stuff. It was super, super helpful. And as she was doing that, I did my own color coordinated notes where I read through the entire draft and I annotated like what I thought sounded awkward, things that I thought needed to be cut, things that I thought were good that I really wanted to keep, and things that I thought needed to be expanded upon, as well as things that I thought should move to different parts of the book. So I was annotating that while she was giving her own feedback. After all of that, I went through my book again and compiled a master scene list. Basically, it has every single chapter of the book, and I broke down every single chapter, scene by scene, what happens, and then wrote basically the gist of what happened in that. And that, I think, really helped me with the overall story arc, because I had an outline before, but just with all of the different moving pieces and things that were changing, I felt like I needed it broken down a little bit more clearly for myself so I could see the flow. So I made a Google Doc with that in Google Drive and broke down all the scenes. And then even as I was going through it again, I made comments on the scenes and like extra details that needed to be added or things like that. Stuff that I wanted to change. And then after I compiled that master scene list, I went into a total rewrite. A total rewrite. I took my manuscript from the beginning and rewrote the whole damn book. And it seems really crazy and insane to kind of suggest that to people, but Stephen King suggests doing that. My business partner Chi has just started doing that with her book, and she highly recommends it as well. I highly recommend it. I think it's a really good way to, it helps you catch everything in your writing. Like, not everything, but it helps you catch a whole lot more because you're recrafting words, you're realizing like, oh, that doesn't sound quite right, like as I retype it out. So I highly suggest doing a total rewrite of your first draft after you get those developmental notes and changes that you want to do, because it is very helpful in crafting your overall story and taking it to the next level. And it also helps you with some copy issues, actually a lot of copy issues with the copywriting part of things. So I really recommend doing that, as I've said a bajillion times by now. So I did the whole rewrite, and that took me about another 2 years because I did some major procrastination on that end. And then after doing that rewrite, I finally got my beta readers just this year, finished the beta reader process. I have a bunch of videos about how that went and what I was looking for and all of that. And I got some really, really good feedback. This is where, after getting that feedback, I noticed that there were still a lot of developmental issues with my book, that there are still a lot of developmental issues with my book that need to change. So in hindsight, would have I gotten a developmental editor? It would have been wise. I think a lot of the issues that it has right now could have been avoided, and a lot of the issues I'm about to have to correct could have been avoided, but I didn't want to pay for one. So I think this is a kind of a good, if you don't want to pay for a developmental editor, having a really solid critique partner or critique partners and then taking it through a beta reader process is, you know, a pretty decent way to go, I feel like, as long as you're a solid writer as well. So yeah, the beta reader feedback. So with that, I finished that in about 2 months, and after that, I had all these surveys that I had my beta readers filled out after like each chapter sections, and now I have compiled all of that feedback into, actually I have it, I'll show you. It's like, whoa, okay, it's just a bunch of sections, like 90 freaking pages of feedback. This is my overall feedback form, and I've kind of taken notes on like the biggest issues that people were noticing with it, and I annotated some ideas on here for what I want to change, a few different subplots that need to go in there to make things make sense, because, you know, as writers, a lot of, like, we know everything that's going on, but we don't always realize that we don't convey that on the page. I'm going through my chapter 1 feedback and highlighting the patterns that I find, and basically I'm just planning on doing that for all 33 of the chapters that I got feedback on, for all 90 pages of feedback that I got. And I'm going to do another rewrite of my book. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself, but I just feel like for me it's the best way to keep like a cohesive voice through the rewrites, because I've changed as a writer over the last 5 years. My writing has improved a lot, and I feel like as I rewrite it and I can kind of read it out loud, it just helps me to better craft the sentences and better realize the issues. So yeah, that's where I'm at with draft 4 right now. And going forward, I plan on hiring a copy editor. Copy editors, I really do not think you should skimp on finding one of those for your book. I think that part is very important. And then I will be proofreading my work. I proofread for a job. It's part of my thing. And I'm also going to get probably a professional proofreader just to go over it as well. If I could get a volunteer or a friend, since I know a lot of grammar people, that would be ideal. But definitely paying money for the copy editor, because that is necessary. And then, yeah, hopefully it should be ready for publication. Depending on the copy editor feedback that I get after I do this next rewrite, I might go through another round of beta reader edits, another round of beta reading, but I haven't made up my mind on that yet. I want to see what kind of feedback I get from whatnot. And yes, my camera is about to run out of memory, so we'll wrap this video up. That's all we have for you today. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to receive weekly content about stuff pertaining to books and building your best life, go ahead and subscribe. Videos come out every Wednesday. Thank you so much for watching this video. And until next time, bye.